Hey guys, so it's been about 10 days since the last episode now. It is the 23rd of March, but I'm beginning a new format here where I'm doing it every Sunday. So today's a Sunday, and I'm going to be a bit less trying to hustle, kind of explain everything. A bit more calm, really. So I've still just recently had my national explosion, and I'm trying to cobble together where I used to be or whatever. So trying to push back up to the science I used to have, and importantly, the influence I used to have. Now there's another event that's coming at the end of January, so 2 more ticks. We have the new normal event to go off, and the new normal event is, instead of once a week, I have these turn things happening every fortnight, twice a month.
I will try to sway the public.
So I'm kind of preparing for the next thing already, and I'm gonna try and get my key places under control. My key places being Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, and Europe. And then also another key place is actually Nigeria at this point, although it's hopefully just going to sit to itself and slowly grow up my population who supports me, and therefore my red income. So that's where I stand. Now, in terms of the world around me, the genocide has begun again in Israel-Palestine. And I was like, oh, it's not going to begin again, so I was wrong about that. And people are like, oh, you're wrong about everything, all our lies must be true. Some people. Mostly it's, and I don't think it's going to last very long, because Israel's having political crises, they're having, like what I said is that their momentum is going to die, so they're not going to be in a position to start the genocide again. And their momentum dying is true. It's just that they started the genocide anyway. So their momentum dying means that the Knesset, their parliament, is routinely exploding. At this point, they're having like fisticuffs in Parliament and stuff, and then they're having riots on the streets, including people refusing to join the army. They have really serious rioting against the war right now. It's technically in defense of the hostages, but in practice it's becoming not too different from anti-racist protests. Like, they're not allowed to be not racist. So instead they're like, only the white people matter, but just the white people you're being so mean to. So that's kind of good. And then Egypt hasn't moved in because America's put a huge...
We're winning their hearts and minds.
Okay. America's put a huge navy right here, next to Iran. So everyone's afraid that if they counterattack the genocide... I mean, honestly, they're cowards. Let's be clear about that. But also, if they counterattack the genocide, they're afraid that America will attack Iran. My guys are my YouTubers are freaking out about, basically, he says China's gonna try and impose a peace on the Middle East, like not make major shifts to this, like they'll probably push out the settlers from the West Bank, but otherwise like keep these borders how they are in the Middle East, but try and disarm everyone.
Humanity shatters the boundaries of the possible.
Right. I think nothing needs to change here. I'll do this. And this. But yeah, they're gonna disarm the Middle East. That's China's plan. And my YouTuber is like, we're not gonna get a caliph in our lifetimes. It's like, yeah, bro. I never really expected a caliph in our lifetimes. But we'll get one in the next few lifetimes, so that's fine. And for right now, stopping the bloodbath, the unceasing century-long bloodbath in the Middle East is going to be good for the local people, so don't complain about that. Costa Rica, I give 0 shits about. That was just one I held for the pop.
We're taking over.
Cool. Up to a bit more science. Some key places coming on board. And in fact, yeah, so the other thing I want to talk to you about today is my own personal life, which is basically, I now have, so we're nearly at 20, but I'm going to abandon Serbia. Because, yeah. Yes, so I have my mother's investing her $30,000 in my firm, and it's going to be quite tricky, the stewardship of the money, to try and it's like really a bare minimum amount of money that I can use to get done what I need to get done, but I think we're still in the ballpark. So we've begun the operation a little bit. What we've begun, I might start the next turn here, honestly, because why not? But what we've begun to do is I've brought my cousin on board and a professional salesman, and I've given them 2 months to find me the customer. So they are going to be running around. I'm having a meeting with them next week, and this is kind of the scariest part because I'm worried they're going to be bumbling amateurs. They're going to mess it all up. Essentially. That's coming online now. I've also this weekend just written a big long report for the Lamu Island game.
Standing by for orders.
And that Lamu Island game,
Where do you need me?
that's a good match somehow right there. The Lamu Island game is one that I'd like to see go off as well. And I think it's pretty good. We're competing with... my main competition is a local dignitary lord guy who I haven't discussed, who I have some kind of beef with.
Establishing control.
Let's do this, actually.
Reporting in.
Reporting in.
No, I don't want to do that. I want to not do that, in fact. Well, this guy needs to... so that game is in play for the island. Yeah, that'll
We'll
do.
bring this nation to our side.
What's the up?
Ready for orders. We must persuade the people.
Where do you need me? We must
Yeah, that sounds
persuade
good.
the people.
Okay, so what I'm going to do... Yeah, so I've just done an application to manage the forests on this island. And I think... I have a pretty good shot at it, but that's another key piece. And so I'm still in a kind of high stakes position, but I'm very close to achieving some kind of a development in my career that might mean this is the only video game I keep playing in my life because I've become busy finally, which would be kind of fun. I do enjoy this video game as the only one. So there's those two. My deal in London is postponed, but it should still be coming along. Once she sells a house, she says she'll be ready to do it. So I'm happy with that. I just did a very quick... Yeah, you see? Look, it's the new normal. And... yeah, unfortunately, my red income's gotten a bit low. But yeah, essentially... this is... things are coming along well enough in my career that I'm confident I'll get something, but everything's still quite in play, and I'm having to work really hard. This week I worked incredibly hard. I had 3 days when I clocked out absolutely physically exhausted, and then I worked all day yesterday, Saturday as well. So I'd like to work a bit less, honestly. But for now, that's fine. I don't know what to do with this red income. If I'm kind of thinking to save it up to buy a new org, but I might need to use it to... there's a thing you can do, like the AI's just done it in England, where you defend your spots from enemy takeovers, from enemies cracking them down and kicking you out. So that might be how I do that. But hopefully next week there'll probably be little tiny driblet of movement in this direction, and 4 months, 2 months, yeah, 4 months of building the factory, 2 months of finding the customer. So that'll be, I guess, 8 episodes each for you. That'll be this entire season, but that also means maybe by the end of the season, my factory will have come up, and inshallah, I'll also know about whether I run with the forest. So this might be a season of pre-power for me that you guys get to have a look at, which could be kind of fun. In any case, I will see you next Sunday, I guess.